So this was shared with me by Robin. Thank you very much for doing this, Robin. And this goes into what we can expect coming up in California. Now, we've been talking about the way in which there have already been a lot of red flags in California. There's already been a lot of red flags all across the country. You know, in Nevada, they're using this Google Sheet system that has a lot of red flags. I'm trying to think of a different word, but it's like a different phrase there. But it just keeps coming back to red flags. I mean, you guys know what I mean. Whatever. But here in California, we've had quite a few. One of the big ones being, hey, we're using these new machines for the first time. And they've never really been unrolled anywhere. And where they have been unrolled, well, they failed. Okay, so here's what we mean by that. Here's some looks at some actual results that the corporate media ain't going to show you. They'll gloss over it. They'll be like, oh, in some beta tests, this has failed. We talked about that. There was a report, I believe it was even NPR, that said, oh, yeah, this has failed in in various capacities. Here's specifically what they're referring to. Okay. So here's an independent study that was prepared for the Secretary of State, prepared for the California Secretary of State. They did this on Christmas Eve, for crying out loud. December 24th, 2019. We're going to skip down to some of the results here. And you're going to notice a couple things all the results have in common. Okay. And then we're going to decide if these machines get to pass and go on to another grade. We'll decide together. I don't want to be a spoiler here, but all right. So first of all, scope limitation. Only the following systems and devices were tested during this examination: the VBL, Tele, including the scanners and file transfer file and database systems, BMG, and Format OS. It goes into detail about what all that specifically means when it gets to the specific results. Here's the important part for right now. Any and all other parts of the system, including the election management system, were not part of this test process. No comment can be made as to the security of the functions used to create the cryptographic keys employed to secure the system and to generate the election definitions. So basically, the overall security mechanism, the overall population of this data, we're not really sure how that's going to work out. We really don't know. There's been no formal testing. It wasn't even included on this test specifically. So we're totally left in the dark there, which is what they did in Iowa. And look at how Iowa turned out. We were completely left in the dark on that app, on the mechanisms of that app, on who specifically was behind that app, on the conflicts of interest they may or may not have had. And look what happened in Iowa. What did we find out later? Well, this app was developed by people, by a company whose umbrella includes, or who umbrella at the top is Acronym, and the person of Acronym is married to a senior strategist for Pete Buttigieg. They're open Pete Buttigieg supporters. These are all people from the Hillary and Obama campaigns. Little bit skewed, folks, just a little bit. Okay, so these overall election management systems, they weren't even tested. All right, so you know that. Okay, so here's some of the results of the test. Locks and tamper seals, subject to picking and removal. Okay, were the locks and tamper seals, are they subject to picking and removal? Lock picking was attempted and was successful using standard widely available lock picks in standard techniques. So basically, if you know how to pick a lock, you can tamper with voting results in a supposed democracy that is the emblem of the world, or is the envy of the world. So unrestricted access to workstation cases. The cases of the command control stations were not secured. You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh to stay sane. You really do. The cases were open. The cases were open in seconds without using any tools. They didn't use shit. They were disabled. They were just able to get into it. They were just able. This is wow. So that's the status final. So it failed. He completely failed. So yeah, they were able to pick the locks, and you were able to get into the cases of these machines. You're able to get into it. Did you need any tools? No. It's not like they had some dude and they were like, okay, look, if some dude breaks in here with a crowbar and works at it for 20 minutes and nobody notices, they can get in. Then it's like, okay, well, that's probably, but like, no tools necessary. They just, if you know how to pick a lock, basically know how to pick a lock, maybe wear a trench coat in case you have a little pick thing you don't want people to see, and you're golden. You're golden. I mean, you don't even really need those tools. It might help. Okay. Once access was gained, any BIOS password could have been removed. This makes it possible to boot the machine using an outside operating system on a USB drive. In addition, there is no disk encryption, so the hard disk could be directly accessed, and all data files were accessible and alterable. Basically, that means they can just access and alter anything. That's pretty much what that means. And by the way, someone with a lot of tech knowledge would be able to really break down just how freaking terrible this is. I'm just a dude with a regular average person amount of, okay, these are how machines work. I'm not a tech guy at all. You know that because I use phrases like tech guy. That's, who says that? Not tech people. Unless they're asked specifically, hey, are you a tech guy? And they say, yeah, I'm a tech guy. What's the problem? Did you try turning it off and turning it back on? Did you try that? Please try that. Even Lucy's like, yeah, even I know this is ridiculous. I get it. You might as well just have me tally the votes. Did you hear Lucy meow? Or do you guys just think, she's here. Do you want to come? I moved my guitar, and I don't think she likes it. Lucy's the cat, by the way. I moved my guitar. It's right here now in case I want to just grab it, and I don't think Lucy likes it. It's her pathway to my lap is a little different now. She's not a fan. She's letting me know by standing on the floor meowing. She's like, the guitar was somewhere else and I liked it better. You should move it. Here she comes. She's like, all right, I didn't like the path I had to go, but I'll live with it. I'll accept it. Continue talking about how our voting machines are completely ridiculous. All right. Okay. So the configuration of the system workstations presented did not conform, which provides that all systems shall provide security. Okay. So any unauthorized physical access shall leave physical evidence that an unauthorized event had take place. Voting systems shall only have physical ports and access points that are essential to voting operations. Access points such as covers and panels shall be secured by locks and tamper evidence stamps. So basically, they don't meet any of these requirements. Basically, this is all the stuff that they don't meet. This is what it did not conform to. All this stuff. No physical evidence. There's points that don't need to be there, and they're easily accessible. Basically, they don't conform to that. Other than that, they're golden. They're very secure, except for being completely insecure. That's basically a nuts and bolts, pun intended, summary of what all that means. Okay. So ability to boot from USB. Booting from a USB drive was not disabled on any of the systems. As such, gaining physical access to the machines allowed access to both the operating and application files. This was performed by booting an external USB disk without forensic applications. This attack could be conducted by an elections official insider or a vendor insider. A voter would not have sufficient access to the system to successfully complete the prerequisite defeat of physical security without leaving evidence of the attack. All right, so if it was a voter, at least there'd be some evidence. So CVSS 7.21b states, voting system equipment shall provide controls that permit or deny access to the device's software and files. Booting from a USB drive gives access to all files not on NetApp. So this is also a non-conformance. So in other words, there's a lot of access to the software that can easily be done by a vendor insider or an elections official. A voter would at least leave some evidence behind. But either way, it doesn't conform. It does not meet the standards. The system also does not conform to CVSS 7.3b, which states voting systems shall only have physical ports and access ports that are essential. All right. So high dependency on root access. Root access is required for many regular operations. These include, but are not limited to, updating cryptographic keys used to protect and verify the integrity, blah, blah, blah. Access to the application binaries, recovering. All right. This attack could be conducted by an elections official insider or vendor insider. This vulnerability, combined with easy access to the system rats, results in not conforming to CVSS 2.14F, which provides all systems shall protect against any attempt at improper data entry or retrieval. In other words, improper data entry, they got an easy point of reference to that, especially if you're a poll worker yourself, or an election official, rather. Lack of full disk encryption. No component of the system has full disk encryption. Oh, wow. Lack of validified FIPS cryptographic modules. The system's VBL, tally, VMG, and format utilize the Linux operating system at the base platform. The cryptographic modules employed for cryptographic processing. This is not compliant with CVSS 7.543, which states using a cryptographic module that has not been validated against FIPS as a violation of the requirement as stated in SVSS 7.5.4a. Now, I do not know all the text ins and outs of that specific one, but basically what that means in very, 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 very elementary explanation is that the operating system does not meet the standards of this test. So there you go. It has passed absolutely nothing. So it has passed nothing. like it's like, so as far as like physical entry, is it secure there? No, not really. Oh, okay. Well, what about like messing with the data? Can that be done easily? Yeah, that can actually be done easily. What about extracting the data? Is that a thing that can happen really? Yeah, people could extract it, and they can tamper with it. Oh, totally. Yeah, and they can mess with results. Oh, yeah, totally. Can anyone do that? Well, if you're a voter, there might be some evidence, but if you're an election official or whatever, oh, yeah, totally. And someone could physically alter it without even any tools. Yeah, totally, without any tools at all. How about the password? Is that secure? Yeah, the password is 12345. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? Darn it! You know what I heard, actually? I heard John Podesta is managing the password, so we should be fine. That's not actual, yeah. That's not an actual report, by the way. That's just me being facetious. Although, would it surprise you? So there you go. Sleep tight. That's what we have to look forward to. That is what we have to look forward to. That's, I mean, there was nothing uplifting in that entire report. It literally, if we were giving grades on every point that they tested and brought up, they would get an F. Every single thing, it was like, yeah, the data is not encrypted properly. Yeah, the physical points of entry, very easily accessible. Yeah, the data is not secure. Yeah, the software does not meet the requirements of this testing agency. Like, if these machines were a student in the 3rd grade, they would not be going to 4th grade in the fall. But not only did they pass the 3rd grade, they got promoted to freaking high school. That's what happened here. They're like, hey, yeah, you failed everything. We're going to use you in the 2020 presidential election. It's like that's like, hey, you're going from 3rd grade to high school, except you freaking failed 3rd grade. That's what they're doing with these machines, and they're using them. This is what's happening in California. And by the way, they say that you can switch your parties and stuff like that up until the day of. That is technically true, but if you do that, you're handed a provisional ballot. And what does that provisional ballot mean? That means your vote ain't getting counted. That's what it means. And if you have no party preference, you can vote for president, but you need to say those magic words, crossover ballot, Democratic crossover ballot. If you just say Democratic ballot, they're not going to give it to you. They're instructed not to give it to you. Well, you're not a Democrat. You're an NPP, sorry. And if you just take your NPP ballot, it ain't going to have president on it. You need to say the magic words, Democratic crossover ballot, or you not get one. It's almost like they want to make voting really difficult. Almost like it. And you can go mail-in. But, there's different There's different evidence there. I mean, Greg Palast has revealed some things that's not as safe as we think. Other, other organizations have revealed that's your best bet. So, you got to take your pick, basically. But these are the machines we're going to use. This is them. This is them. Thank you for sharing that, Robin. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and